win had to kill more than anybody else. They had to kill those that were near Badalamenti. In fact, Maggiaro was killed. Cesare Bonaventre and all the associates. And another, but I don't remember his name. I think his name was Caruso. They found him dead in Queens. And Alfano was the closest to Badalamenti.
Badalamenti era in galera. E lui comandava.
But Badalamenti was in jail then during this period, and he led from there. No, you got to understand that when someone's in jail, it doesn't mean that business doesn't go on. The business always goes on. If it isn't Tom, it's Dick. If it's not Dick, it's Harry. But if it's a business, it'll always go because it brings in a lot of money. It has to go because a lot of merchandise is coming in from Italy every day. And people don't understand that. Stuff comes in all the time. Not once a month. Every day something comes in. They might stop one, but 3 more will come in. It's a business that never stops.
È un business che cammina tutti i giorni.
Comunque, Badalamenti era in galera.
Anyway, Badalamenti was in jail, and Alfano was the one that was carrying on his business. Alfano was part of a group that originally involved about 20 people, maybe 23, 24. But then many were put on trial separately. Many pleaded guilty. Took the offer from the government, from the American government. But the big bosses, they can't go for the guilty plea. They have to go on trial. Win or lose, it's a law. You see, Alfano and Badalamenti, they weren't part of the American mafia because they didn't need permission from the commission to kill. But you needed a certain permission to kill Cesare because he was considered a top wise guy. He was a captain. He was a captain of the Bonanno family. And Polizzi, Catalano, Abalgo, Amato, they're all soldiers of American families that in America were called to zip.
There still is a connection between the mafia in Sicily and members of the mafia or organized crime here in America. There's no question that there's many members of organized crime here in America who answer to the old Sicilian mafia in Palermo. There are members of organized crime here in America that answer only to the American bosses. However, whenever they run into organizations or individuals from the Italian mafia, there are sit-downs, there are meetings to discuss and settle whatever problems there are.
Okay, so you were talking with your friend Salvatore to decide what to do about punishing Alfano. Yeah, there was an agreement between both of us with the person that I introduced to Salvatore, and we made a deal. We established a price about $50,000, and we shook hands. And it came out there that we had to kill him. You got to understand that Alfano, he was protected by the American police, meaning he had his own bodyguards. It wasn't easy to kill him. And he always walked around with his wife. You know that you're not supposed to kill a guy when he walks with his wife. The wife means security. But Alfano had to die. So we studied every detail to kill him. But at one point, since he was always with his wife, there was no other solution but to kill him when he was with his wife. When they did the job, they made sure that the wife wouldn't be touched. In fact, they shot him in broad daylight at about 5 in the afternoon. when the street was full of people, with millions of people on 6th Avenue, you know, right near Balducci's. There was a traffic of hundreds of thousands of people at that hour. It was the only way. It was the only place we can get him. But even these people made their mistakes.
No, Alfano è rimasto
But did Alfano die? No. Alfano was paralyzed. They shot at his heart twice. But it's almost as if he had 7 lives. He was paralyzed from his chest down. But he's still alive. Then he made a deal with the American government to only serve 10 years, and that was it. There wasn't a newspaper or a TV station without a special news broadcast about this. I called Salvatore's personal lawyer because I couldn't find Salvatore.
Perché non riusciva ad rintracciare Salvatore. E mi dice l'avvocato che Salvatore è stato arrestato.
And the lawyer tells me that Salvatore has been
E di
arrested.
andare subito al suo ufficio.
And I have to go right away to his office. I go to the lawyer's office. His name is Charles Canese.
Salvatore è stato arrestato.
He tells me that Salvatore has been arrested, but he's just on probation.
Ma qualcosa non suona bene.
Something doesn't sound right.
E non sapevo che Spatone in quel momento.
And I figured out that Salvatore, during our discussions, during our conversations, was taping me.
Stava tappando.
Stava
registrando quello che noi dicevamo.
He was taping everything that we said.
Ho collaborato con il governo americano.
Anyway, he collaborated with the American government
Per il mio caso.
on my case. Then I had to testify against Spatola because at a certain moment he decided to not testify for his own reasons. You have to know that Salvatore has a big family. He's got 8 or 9 kids. They all live near Palermo.
Sai quello che è successo a Buscetta.
And you see that, you know what happened to
E
Buscetta.
tutta questa gente che lui ha
He
accusato.
broke his word, and all the people that he fingered, some of them might have been innocent.
Sarei uscito fuori anche io.
I would have gone out too,
Deciso di.
because I decided to collaborate, because I risked about 3,000 years of jail for something that I didn't do.
We believe that the events that occur in Italy affect us here in the United States because the organizations are becoming much more transnational. They span not only from Sicily, but up through Europe and Canada, the United States, South America, Australia. And so we must coordinate our efforts to really get to the root of the problem. Because of that, we have agents in Italy at this time that are working in conjunction with the Italian law enforcement. We're trying to provide any expertise that we may have in assisting in solving these bombings. This offer was made to the Italian government immediately upon hearing of Judge Falcone's murder and Judge Borsellino's murder.
My first reaction was shock and very, very deep personal sadness because he was such a close friend. Beyond being a colleague, a professional colleague, we had grown over the years to be very close friends. So it was perceived by me not only as a great personal loss, but as a great loss to the judicial community and everything that he stood for.
Tremendous sorrow for the people of Italy, in particular for, obviously, for Giovanni, who was a very good friend of mine, and also a sense of, I'd say, concern that the effort that's needed in order to fight back against the mafia, that effort wasn't as strong and it wasn't as quick as it needed to be to convince them that they've got to pay an enormous price. To convince the mafia they have to pay an enormous price when you slaughter judges of the government, magistrates of the government. In essence, what you're doing is attacking the government of Italy. In essence, they've declared a war against the government of Italy.
I also remembered their attempt on his residence in Sicily over a year ago, And this brought a lot of sadness to me and my family because the judge was quite an extraordinary man and should always be remembered as that by the Italian government.
Sometimes, unfortunately, it takes a great tragedy like the murder of Judge Falcone to galvanize not just the people, and you saw the people's reaction in Palermo after his murder. I mean, a very angry reaction directed against the elected leaders.
The integrity of the government of Italy is at stake, and you've got to go to whatever level is necessary to turn this problem around. That's something that I very much want to see the Italian government do, fight back at levels at which maybe it's never fought back before to turn this around. And that would be a fitting memorial to the men who have died, who are patriots. They can't be more a fitting memorial than to see the government fight back in ways that it's never fought back before. The use of the military is necessary. Racketeering laws are necessary. A witness protection program. A federal, what we call a Federal Bureau of Investigation that would focus national attention on the mafia. Seizure laws, laws to take businesses back. And all those things are absolutely vital. The most important thing is political will. The political will had to be there to say, it doesn't matter who gets hurt here. The damage being done to our society is so great that we have to fight back and expose anyone who is involved with these people.
When did you become a member of this organization?
1930.
1930. What is the name of it? It is
Cosa Nostra in Italian.
Cosa Nostra in Italian.
Our thing and our family in English.
FBI! We have an arrest warrant! Open up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up!
Charlie Lucky Luciano, shackled to his henchman, the overlord of a $12 million a year vice ring, goes to prison for from 30 to 50 years.
1932 proves bad medicine for big shot Al Capone when Uncle Sam takes him for a ride to Atlanta for 11 years. So public enemy number one doesn't have to worry about New Year call.
Dave, what kind of gang war? There's no gangs, there's no wars, there's nothing.
A gangster is a gangster for a very good reason. He wants everything for himself, and he doesn't want to work for what he's got. Does not want to work.
All roads lead to Hollywood, or so it seems.
Actually, the relationship among studio heads and the mafia existed long before the late 1930s.
Sometimes I wonder